Be disciplined to do what's required despite how you're feeling. You want to be a good golfer? Welcome uncertainty, but don't compromise on commitment through your pre-shot routine.
What separates, I guess, the good from the great?
It's certainly not what they think and feel. We see them and think they are calm, confident, have unwavering self-belief. They just don't have the thoughts I have. They don't get as angry as I do, or they don't worry as much as I do. I can assure you, as a psychologist who works with them, the content of their brain is the same as yours and mine because they're human.
Welcome back to the Teed Up Golf Podcast. Huge guest today. We're here at Sandringham at the Golf Australia High Performance Centre, and it's quite topical that we're joined by a man who is a world-leading performance psychologist, Jonah Oliver. It's been a long time coming. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Very, very happy to have you in. It's the start of the third round here at the Australian Open in 2025, and you've got a couple of players out on course, and you've been kind enough to sit down and join us. So to set up what you are, Jonah, as I said off the top, you're a world-leading performance psychologist who has worked with some of not only Australia's greatest ever athletes, but the world's greatest ever athletes, been involved in Australian Olympic teams, work a bit with the guys at Ripper GC, Golf Australia. I have a lot of independent clients outside of the golf landscape, from the UFC to even surgeons and businesses. So well-rounded, and I'm very in awe, actually, mate, of your resume. I actually went on your LinkedIn profile. Had a bit of a stalk this morning to see if I can find any gold nuggets. But I guess what today's conversation with Jonah will be about for all of you guys out there is the mindset, and relating it all back to golf. Obviously, this is a golf podcast. There is some client privilege confidentiality, which we will stick to. Very off-brand for me to stick to rules, but we will do that today with Jonah because there is some sensitivities around that patient-client. Is that what you call it?
Yeah, confidentiality.
Confidentiality. So we'll stick to that, but a bit of a generalisation into who he works with, how he works with them. You've seen some great moments, mate, and seen some of your clients, I guess, go from kids to adults to rookies to world-class athletes. But I guess off the top, mate, is to talk about yourself. Just this is your time to pump yourself up and give us a bit of a background on the Jonah Oliver story.
Yeah, sure. Well, thanks for having me. Well, I'm a psychologist by training, right? Yep. So, everything I do is based upon evidence-based science, and it's just taking, psychological science and applying it to different contexts, different settings. And the world of golf is obviously such a unique one in that it just has such a heavy psychological load.
Yep.
But yeah, my background is, I went to university, studied a science degree and an honours degree and a master's degree, and got really fascinated and curious by how the brain works, and I still am to this day.
Unbelievable. So you're a Byron Bay boy.
Wow, you have done the research.
Look, if anyone hasn't listened, a couple of years ago, Jonah joined Dill on Dill and Friends, one of the great podcasts that we produce here at Cobby Sports. And to be honest, mate, that's where a lot of my background information came. But
gotcha.
It's a couple of years older, and I've talked to a lot of the people that you do work with, and they're so glowing of the work you've done with them. But Byron Bay boy, can you tell us about how you got into this space? I guess it's on trend these days and trending, the psychology of sport, and even people having their own psychologist.
Yeah.
I've just started going to a psychologist.
Great.
Very helpful, I guess. Grown male.
There you go.
Just push your trauma down. But tell us about how you got into that trade and how the sport performance side.
Yeah, okay. Wow, I've never even been asked about my background story. That's cool. Grew up in a small little town, and I played every sport that I could. And I was okay at things, but never, I was never going to go being a professional athlete.
Yep.
But, I just loved everything about competition. I loved about it. And I was playing water polo at an okay level. From a teenager, I was playing at 8th grade.
I played water.
Yeah. And the bigger the occasion, the better I'd play. Grand finals or whatever it was. I used to love those moments and seemed to bring out a good performance. But, second serve break point in a game of tennis, and I'd just really struggle to sort of execute that skill. And I was always, I guess, perplexed or curious about it. And one day I would have been 13 or 14 or something, and a sports psychologist came and did a workshop. And I just had this light bulb moment where it all made sense, right? Like my desire never to let my team down. And therefore, even though I might have felt anxiety and the pressure of a grand final, it just brought out an adaptive response. I used to play really well, but yet it was just me by myself in the spotlight, and I didn't really have the desire not to let teammates down. It was all about me, and I just sort of wouldn't play as well. Anyway, he did a presentation, had this light bulb moment, went home, saw mum and dad, and said, "I'm going to be a sports psychologist when I grow up."
Wow.
And I was 12 or 13, and I went and did that.
That's an amazing thought process at 13 to see something with such clarity. I guess it's something you might teach you or work with your clients on now, is clarity in goal setting and things like that. In terms of like the first athletes you ever worked with, how do you build, I guess, a stable of clients in your profession? Like, as a word of mouth, obviously you need to start somewhere. You can't all of a sudden knock on a door of like a Cameron Smith, for example, and be like, "Hi, I'm a sports psychologist. Can you listen to me?"
Yeah, sure. It's all reputation based, right?
Yep.
I mean, back when I first graduated, I had a crappy business card and didn't even have a website because, things like social media didn't really even exist.
Yeah.
You've just got to be really good at what you do.
Yeah.
Firstly, I know it sounds so cliched, but if you're good at what you do and you actually help people get better, then word of mouth spreads.
Yeah.
I started out like any young psychologist and started working at academies of sport with a tiny, 4 hours a week with a small little team. And I had a doctor referred me to a football club that he was working at in the Brisbane Roar, even though I was so young, because this guy's doing some science that's current, it's updated, and I like how he approaches it. So I had an opportunity there, and that led to Ange Postecoglou and I working together and having some back-to-back premierships. And again, word of mouth, and you start working a little bit with some other clients. And I remember working with a golfer. My first golfer was, had struggled with performance anxiety and in some public environments underperformed when it mattered.
Yep.
And had hired me, and we had a year of work where we ended up getting some pretty decent improvements in their career, and that probably got a little bit of attention. So then you start to get a bit of a reputation in golf, and then it just grows from there.
Yeah. So the average Australian sports fan, people who might listen to this, me included, I've played local footy forever and had a lot of pub chats with my mates around that guy's weak as piss, or this guy can't do this, whatever. What's the biggest myth people may have about sports psychology and the mental side of elite sport?
Oh, that's a big question. I think for working with a psychologist, we often think it must have a deficit model. You go there if you're broken, damaged, got a problem in your brain, versus I always see how much time and money the average punter spends on equipment, on coaching, on on the latest gadget. And I say for the less than the price of a driver, you can go and speak to a trained professional who could probably help you take 2 or 3 strokes off your handicap, and also get a bit more enjoyment out of it as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like getting a golf lesson. Everyone's, I'm going to buy a new driver, just get a lesson first. Why is golf, so primarily a golf podcast, why is golf, I guess, the hardest, or is considered to be one of the hardest mental sports in the world? What is it about this game?
There's a few factors that play into that. One is we know it's a fine motor control sport, right? So, 1 degree of club face deviation and, the ball can spin off. So it's a very, it's a very fine motor control sport. Therefore, small changes in your movement patterns can have large impact on the performance. Whereas in other sports like, swimming, yes, you still want to have really nice technique, but, it's a bit of a gross sport. You just use your muscles and kick hard. And if there's a slight deviation in your technique on a couple of strokes in that swimming race, you can still sort of get away with it. Therefore, the elements that go into it can really start to distract. So, golf is a game of focus versus distraction, if you will. We have all those biomechanical sort of characteristics. We've got the external threats. We've got the internal threats. You've also got the uniqueness that you're doing a target sport, but you're not looking at the target. There's not many things like that in the world, right?
Yeah.
If you're shooting, playing archery, basketball, anything, you look at the target. Whereas this one, you look at the target, then you move your eye back to the ball, and you've got to sort of hold the target.
Yep.
That creates a bit of cognitive load as well. So there's a lot of cognitive load, and then you introduce pressure. And that makes things a bit spicy.
You've worked across all the tours, essentially. You've been with the guys as when they've gone over to live golf from the infancy of that. So you've seen, I guess, the impact of those decisions people make in their careers. What impact can you play in helping people make big career decisions? Like you've got people who you work with who are exceptionally young. You got men, women, boys, girls, amateurs, pros. Like in terms of decision making, golf, if you make one wrong turn in a career move, it can be the end of you, and you can end up, without a card working in a pro shop. How much pressure do these guys put on themselves to how much thought goes into these decisions that they're trying to make. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's
a big question. We've had Leash on here, for example. So we've had Mark Leishman on here. And we talked about his decision to leave the PGA Tour, where he's had an incredible career. Almost won a couple of majors. Has won a few times on the PGA Tour. The opportunity for him to join Live Golf was going to be life-changing financially for his family, generational wealth beyond any family members he'll ever meet. And I guess that's where I want to get to, is like in terms of that sort of decision. Leash talked about, in the end of the day, it was a family-based decision. Like, these decisions aren't golf-related, but they're more what's going to fulfill him and his family. So what role do you play in that?
Yeah, well, you want to
without taking specifics, of course.
Yeah, sure. I mean, firstly, I always say, let's just take regret off the table.
Yeah.
We can't take disappointment off the table.
Yeah.
But we can take regret off the table. And it's really important for your listeners to understand, what does my life look like, and what's the difference between doing something that doesn't work out? Okay, I'm disappointed. I didn't get that job. I didn't have the career I necessarily wanted in this moment of my life. So I might feel disappointed. I might be disappointed that I went and asked that girl out at the bar and she said no. That's fine. But the regret is, I didn't go up and ask that girl out.
Yeah.
I didn't go for that job.
Okay.
I didn't see if I could try something that I've always wanted to start up, a origami shop in Brunswick. Well, go and give it a crack.
I reckon it'd go well in Brunswick. Origami shop too.
So I always tried to reverse engineer from that.
Yep.
And like a lot of my clients, I'll sit and do a bit of, you do a little bit of almost time travel.
Yeah. Okay.
If you were having a beer with the 70-year-old version of yourself,
yeah,
and you're looking back, what do you want that 70-year-old version of you to say? Did you have a crack? Did you give it a go?
Yep.
Hey, mate, okay, that didn't work out, but, it was in the service of trying to create a life that you wanted to live. So for me, I think fear can paralyze us. Fear keeps us stuck at times. Fear prevents us from really doing the things that deep down in our heart we want to pursue. So if golf's a vehicle, if you happen to be talented at it and you want to go see how good you can be, then get after it and do all the things you want to do. And there might be some risk. There might be some decisions that don't play out. So yeah, I like to help clients make decisions that are in the service of the things that matter.
Nice. That's good. That's good for me as well. I'm in the crossroads in my life at the moment with career decision as well. What separates the mentally elite golfer? So you've worked with, as I mentioned, amateurs all the way to major winners. What separates the mentally elite? Like we saw, for an example, Rory yesterday here at the Australian Open have a fresh area under a swing. The cut was gone for him. He was below the cut line, and mentally great golfer. He's been in those positions we saw at the Masters this year. Goes and 3 birdies in, comfortably in the cut line. He's brought the crowds in here again at Royal Melbourne. But what separates, I guess, the good from the great?
Sure.
Yep.
Well, firstly, let's debunk some myths.
Yep.
It's certainly not what they think and feel.
Okay.
We see them and think they are calm, confident, have unwavering self-belief. They just don't have the thoughts I have. They don't get as angry as I do, or they don't worry as much as I do. I can assure you, as a psychologist who works with them, the content of their brain is the same as yours and mine because they're human.
Yep.
We think they're freakishly different psychologically. What they are, that does separate, to your question, is they're able to behave more normally in the presence of those thoughts and feelings.
Oh.
So we'll get a bit Dr. Phil here.
Good.
It's not that they don't have those thoughts and feelings. It's when I'm anxious, I still hit a good putt and maintain speed. I'm feeling anxious that I'm on the cut line, but that tee shot, I take the right line and my rhythm stays, solid. I call it discipline. People think discipline's getting up and going to the gym and hitting lots of balls on the range. I say anybody can do that if they want to. Discipline is, can you hit that tee shot and not compromise on your rhythm, not compromise on the mechanics of your swing, not leave that putt short? Can you hit that chip shot with the same sort of, acceleration through the ball, whatever? Be disciplined to do what's required despite how you're feeling. Whereas for the average punter, we play good when we're by ourselves, we play good when we're maybe with some of our mates, but the moment you've got to close the round out, or you're playing for beers, or, you're in the club championship and all of a sudden you're duffing chips, or you're steering it off the tee, or the speed goes on the green and you're leaving them all short, it's because the emotions, the thoughts, the occasion is impacting your behavior. the world's best still think and feel the same types of things, but they don't let it impact their behavior.
Nice. I can use that this week in the Vic PGA that I'm playing in.
There we go.
There you go. Attention control versus emotions. Can the great players just push emotions to the side in those moments? Like Rory in the playoff against Justin Rose this year, crowning moment. You know, you saw the weight just lift off his shoulders and the World of Golf shoulders. He would have been emotional going back to the tee with Justin Rose. But the control that he had to hit the shots he did, can you take us inside what that's like? Well, obviously Cam did it at the Open as well, which I know you had a big role to play in, of course, with him. But we'll talk more about Rory just as two sports fans watching it from afar. Sure. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, it's funny you use the word control. Ironically, the science is actually the opposite.
Okay.
It's acceptance.
Right.
When we try to control our thoughts and feelings, that is the trap.
Okay.
So if I'm nervous and I believe my nerves are bad because I believe that I play well when I'm confident, I play poorly when I'm nervous because I've got data to confirm it.
Yeah.
You're missing one critical thing. It's not that you play better when you're confident and play poorer when you're anxious. It's you play well when you're focused.
Okay.
It is easier to focus when you're confident because you don't have something trying to distract you. So what do great athletes do? When nerves come, they learn to just make room for it, accept that that's the price of entry.
Yep.
And if I just accept that those nerves, those thoughts, those feelings, those emotions, those bodily sensations are here, I'm in a playoff to win something of significance. Makes sense that I'm going to feel some things and think some things.
Yep.
But if I can just see that's predictable and it's the price of entry and I want to be here, then I can just drop the rope and let it be there. I can accept that that's there. I don't need to control. I don't need to dumb it down, suppress it, distract, run away from it. And then I can just bring my focus back to what I need to do. Whereas when we see people wrestling with performance, and it's typically that they're internally trying to control those thoughts and feelings. They're having that metacognitive chatter. Oh shit, I'm getting too nervous.
Yeah.
Oh no, I've got to calm down. If you are trying to calm yourself down and win the battle with your neurobiology, good luck. You might be able to take a few breaths and it feels a bit better. Okay, positive self-talk feels a bit better. You sure as hell aren't focusing on your swing.
Yeah.
You're certainly not thinking about the speed of this putt.
Yeah.
And that's why you go, why did I miss that, that swing or that putt? Because your attention was generally inside your own head trying to control your emotions.
Wow.
You got to learn to accept the price of entry is discomfort, expect it, embrace it, make room for it, and then bring my attention back to the task at hand.
Routine. It's talking about, pro golfers, and I've talked to a lot of pro golfers on this podcast, believe it or not, mate, being a golf podcast. Talk about routine and skill execution. This can be for any sport. Like I know you've worked with UFC fighters and guys like that, but routines, what they actually do. Like you watch Cam when he putts, he's got a very distinct routine. You watch, a mate of mine, Dave Micheluzzi, he's very distinct. He pats his left leg and, does his thing. Leish's swing his finish is the same every single time. How much does that play into the highlight? Because when I play golf, I can't remember what my routine is.
Sure. So this may surprise some of the listeners in that generally the best don't spend a lot of time looking at their routine.
Yeah.
The routine is more of a consequence of doing the right steps, of focusing on the right thing at the right time.
Yeah, okay.
So we will never put a stopwatch on somebody's routine. And I know there's people out there that do that.
Yep.
And they go, oh, hang on, you were 8.2 seconds on that pre-shot routine, whereas this good shot, you were 7.3 seconds.
Mm.
Well, that's a great way to distract a golfer. I'm on the tee and now I'm thinking about how long my routine's going for. You are not in a state of task-focused attention. Yeah. So, though, we do want to observe, hey, that guy's getting bogged down. Why is he taking so long at the ball? That's interesting to me.
Yeah.
Or, wow, he's ripping the Band-Aid really fast and just boom, he's not willing to sit in the discomfort. So I will watch routine. I will keep an eye on what's going on and how many looks and how many waggles and all that, because that's interesting data.
Yeah.
But if people believe that if I just do the same routine every time to the second, that's going to help me be a better golfer, then you've forgotten the reason of a routine. A routine's just to make you focus on the right thing on the right time in a logical sequence of events so that you can then focus on what you need to do. We all do routines.
Yep.
We all wake up, we put the same foot on the ground in the morning. We normally go for a piss, then brush our teeth, then have our coffee. Then we like routines. Why? Because imagine if every morning I had to wake up in bed and go, now which foot do I put on the ground and how do I walk? Is it left foot then right? It takes a huge cognitive load.
Yeah.
So we love routines because it frees up not having to think about things. Hence, I want my golfer to make a decision on club, shot selection.
Yeah.
So let's stop, work through the conditions, work through what's going on, some smart course management, bang.
Yeah.
Are we locking it in here? Don't be half pregnant.
Yeah.
Make a decision. Great. Once that's done, we move into the next stage. I might want to wake up a little bit of the swing. So I might have a waggle or a pre-shot little swingy type thing to wake up that motor pattern. Now I'm priming the motor system. Okay, there's the movement that matches the shot that we've decided to hit. Cool.
Yeah.
And then I'm moving in over the ball. And then if I'm over the ball, now I'm getting ready for execution phase, which is just about, pulling the trigger if I'm a sniper. But if I'm at ball and I'm thinking about, is it really the 3-iron?
That's me.
Right? Well, you've gone back into the selection phase. And then no wonder I'm waggling and getting bogged down and okay.
Yeah.
Or then the wind blusters on my face. Oh, is it one club of hurt or what?
Yeah.
Wind blusters. It's the environment. We made a decision to play this shot as one club of hurt. Stop expecting the wind to be perfectly one club at address. You've just got to accept that it might be I'm rambling a bit here.
No, it makes perfect sense.
So the reason people get stuck in pre-shot routines is typically they're either going back into an earlier stage because out of anxiety and uncertainty. They don't like the uncertainty and I need to feel more certain.
Yeah.
You want to be a good golfer? Welcome uncertainty, but don't compromise on commitment through your pre-shot routine.
Love that. That's massive. I think a lot of us amateurs can take a bit from that. We're always in between clubs. You worked with the Australian Olympic team at the last Olympics. We've been lucky enough to have Maddie Denny on here, Annabelle Smith, so some great Olympians on here, medal winners at Com Games and Olympic Games and all that sort of stuff. What did you learn? What do you learn from that? I guess, number one, as an individual, take away your psychology degree. What do you learn just from what these athletes do to train 4 years for their pinnacle versus, I guess, a golfer who can, or a footy player or, a traditional sports person, I guess, week in, week out, they get to rectify any.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting question. Yeah, Matty Denny loves his golf. I'm fortunate to go to a few Olympics with Matty.
Hits it a mile. I saw him last week in Brisbane, actually.
Yeah. No, we've had some good journeys together through Commonwealth Games and Olympics.
Top.
Firstly, it's not 4 years. It's often 12 years of work.
Yeah.
And I think what Olympics provides is it's so unique given that it is the pinnacle for these people. They'll have world championships and they'll have other events, but there's nothing like the Olympics. And it's just what that brings out. Most sport have multiple games, if it's football, if it's motorsport, if it's golf, if it's you have multiple bites at the cherry and there's nothing like a grand final in football or something. Sure. But the Olympics for a lot of these athletes is such a significant step up in terms of what that is, the context. Now, what I love about the Olympics is how can we do something that we're so skilled at? We're absolutely elite at producing, throwing a discus in Matty's sense, or swimming up and down a pool, or rowing a boat, or shooting an arrow, whatever it is.
Yeah.
They're very, very prodigiously skilled at that task. And then we go throw them in an environment that's very new and novel for them.
Yeah.
And it's just like, let's see what happens here.
Mm.
The analogy I use, it's a bit like taking you into the MCG on grand final day in front of the 100,000 people, and I put a microphone in front of your face and I say, so what's 217 plus 7? And it's like, you imagine that response you'd have if you didn't know, firstly, what I was going to throw at you. You'd be like, Jonah, hang on, stalling.
You're talking to a punter here. I would have had that.
Yeah, right. But the point being, right, the math problem doesn't get any harder.
Yeah.
And it's actually not that complex a math problem.
Hmm.
But all of a sudden, doing it in front of 100,000 people and everyone watching me, I stumble, I fumble, I get a bit rattled at times, and it can impair my performance.
Yep.
So the work I like to do in those Olympic settings is simply remind them that the task doesn't get harder. The context makes it feel harder.
Yeah, okay.
The first tee at the Masters isn't a harder golf shot.
Mm.
It's the same golf ball, same golf club, same swing. There's not an opponent trying to tackle you.
Yeah.
There's not a gopher in the ground that reaches up and grabs your ball. It's actually an identical task to what you just did on the driving range.
Yeah.
But the context is damn different. It's the first tee at the Masters.
Yeah.
So you're going to feel things and worry about things and hope for things and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it's really useful for people to remind ourselves to separate task stability from the context.
Yeah, amazing. Annabelle Smith, 4-time Olympic diver, we spoke about last year in Paris. She, for the 4th time in her whole career, she'd been to 4 Olympic Games, essentially fell off the diving board to cost, she was a synchronized diver, cost herself and her partner a bronze medal. If that happens to one of your people you work with, how do you pick them up off the ground? Like, how do they dust themselves off? It was actually her last event. Like, she'd already decided that this didn't end her career, but how do you dust them off? Like, someone fails at a major when they had so much expectation on them, or, an Olympic athlete doesn't perform.
Well, I certainly don't save them from the pain.
Yeah.
And this might sound, I think it's really important actually for your listeners to understand that disappointment, pain, anguish, heartache is the same as joy, elation, pride, satisfaction, euphoria when things go well.
Yeah, right.
Do you run around your living room high-fiving your wife and fist pumping because you made toast well in the morning?
Sometimes. No.
Like,
it's just a daily task.
But do you get anxious and worried that you're going to make the toast perfect? Like, we don't worry about things we don't care about.
Yeah.
So things we don't care about don't give us amazing joy and elation and pride and satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but I want to feel that in sport. I want to feel those amazing, incredible things that sport almost provides that other jobs just don't. Mm-hmm. Oh, but I don't want to feel pain and disappointment and sadness. It's like, you can't have it both ways. As a matter of fact, they are the same thing.
Yeah.
So when people feel those painful emotions, I'm like, that's the price of entry we signed up for. Now, earlier I said disappointment or regret. That's different.
Yeah.
If it's, I'm really disappointed that I stuffed up that performance, and that's going to, it's going to be scar tissue for the rest of my life. I was like, I can't save you from that.
Yeah.
You want to feel the pride of winning a major and have that for the rest of your life? Yeah. But you don't want to remember the day you missed the cut by double bogeying the last? Can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
So humans need to be better at just being willing to feel tough things.
Love it. Awesome. High pressure environments. So like UFC, fight like pressure parallels. Like I've heard on previous podcasts, you talk about the fight mechanism of fear, adrenaline, like decision making in not only combat sports, but any sport. Can you take us, what can golfers learn from athletes who operate in like downright scary, like where they can be physically impacted?
Yeah. Great question. Well, I would say to most of my golfers, even this week, they would have heard it from me multiple times. Are you ready to get punched in the face?
Yep.
Because when my fighters have a fight plan and they do hop in that cage or whatever, and they get broken ribs or punched or something, it can distract you.
Yeah.
Right. And it can make you then deviate from your fight plan. Whereas what does a great fighter do? They know that they're going to feel pain, but they're willing to feel that pain but not deviate from the fight plan. Well, I see too many golfers go out there in a challenging sand belt and they bogey a hole, or they hit it out of the heel, or they 3-putt something, right? They get punched in the face and then they run away from their fight plan. They stop taking the golf course on. They stop swinging freely. They start leaving putts short. All of a sudden it's like, wow, one punch in the face and you got thrown by that. So I'll use a lot of analogies or learning from, things like fighting or military or whatever, and say, how can we take some of that and apply it to a sport that's seen as quite a gentle, passive sport, golf, and realize it's like, no, I've actually got to bite down my mouth guard and be a bit tougher out there.
Yeah.
If one punch from a golf course is then going to derail me for 3 or 4 holes, you can't tell me you want to go be top 10 in the world. You're not ready to even go after that.
Interesting. It's amazing insight. Is fear useful, like for people to have in not only in sport but in general life? Like I have a lot of friends and people I know who are stuck. Like, and the only reason is they're exceptionally talented in what they could be doing. But is fear like a useful tool for people to, I guess, make decisions? Or
it is the single greatest emotion for the human race.
Yeah.
It's what's kept us alive. It's the heart of evolution.
Yeah.
If we don't feel anxiety, we walk across the road in front of a bus and get killed.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Like we seem to, like anxiety is bad. I've got to get rid of anxiety. I need to take tablets to get rid of anxiety. I've got to go on a retreat to the back hills of Byron because I'm feeling some anxiety. We treat anxiety like it's this monster that has to be eradicated. Yet if you look at your neurobiology, you have far deeper, primal, big neural architecture that is filled with areas designed to make us worry about certain things.
Yeah, right.
If you can learn to change your relationship to your anxiety, you said people get stuck. They get stuck because they give it too much power, or they spend their life trying to get rid of it before taking action. I'll only go and talk to that girl when I'm not anxious. How's your life going? I'm still single and living a crappy life, right? Versus, do I want to find a wife, have a family? Okay, well, is the price of entry of that worth feeling some anxiety?
Yeah.
So anxiety makes us focus. When my golfers aren't a little bit anxious, I'm actually then worried. I'm like, ooh, he could be a bit sloppy here or a bit complacent or might, leave this short or like, because I know that when there's a decent dose of some nerves, that makes our visual attention go up, our reaction time go up, our muscle communication or body goes up, our intensity goes up. All of a sudden, it's like everything's dialed up. You just want to make sure you can leverage the benefits of it and not be overwhelmed by it, obviously.
Yep.
So when we're panicking, it gets overwhelming and we can't function very well. But why do we panic? A panic attack is literally your attempt to control your anxiety and your failure to succeed. I'm feeling nervous. Uh-oh, don't want to feel it. Got to control it. Oh, shit, I'm not winning. Oh, no. That's what a panic attack is.
Yeah.
So when you see choking in sport, it's actually people panicking, trying to control their anxiety.
Yeah.
So I know that's a long-winded answer.
It's a great answer.
But yeah, anxiety is a gift. I'd never want any of my clients, any of my kids, myself included, to ever get rid of anxiety.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful thing if you can learn to see it for what it is.
It's amazing. It's great insight. I'm guessing a lot, like our demographic of listener is like males between like 20 and 40. So a lot of us probably suppress and have panic attacks and deal with things like that all the time. So embrace it, lads and ladies out there.
Absolutely.
I think. The North Framework, so the business that you run, you're the CEO of the North Framework. I've been on there and had a look at the website, and your core values are mastery, curiosity, playfulness, and connection. Can you just give us a bit of an overview as to why they're your core values?
Yeah, wow. Cool question. Well, firstly, values. Values, we all have values, right? Values are what's deep in our heart. Values are what your mates say at your funeral.
Yeah.
Like every listener here has values. Maybe it's worth taking the time to explore some words or some terms that help you connect to them. Values are how we behave when we're being the best version of us. And I know that sounds a bit flowery, but it's like we can show up and spend time with our kids and be cranky, tired, and on our phone, or we can show up and be curious, playful, and whatever's important to you. So values are the best version of us. When we're doing the things that matter with the people that matter and you do it in a values-based way, you normally say, hey, that was a good weekend or that was a good week or what have you. So for me, mastery, I don't know. I just use that word resonated because I'm like, why am I a little bit nerdy? Why do I just love doing things well? Why do I like reading, researching? Why am I a coffee wanker, a wine wanker? Whatever. Anything I do, I like to do it well.
Yep.
And I think a lot of your listeners can relate to that. So for me, it's not actually about getting there. It's just that never-ending journey. So I do like the concept of mastery, and especially in golf. I think golf is almost the greatest sport where, oh, congratulations, you've mastered golf. Like I've never met a person who could say that. Right?
No.
It's just this.
I think Tiger's still angry.
Right. Literally, right.
Yeah.
So mastery is just that idea that it's not a destination, like I can't get there. It's that journey.
Yeah.
So always seeking improvement. When I feel like I'm most alive and I feel great, I've done something, I've got better at something, I've learned something, I'm seeking stuff out. Curiosity, well, for me, if I know it all and be judgmental and be closed down, I'm not a better psychologist. I'm certainly not a better father. I'm certainly, not a better mate. So curiosity means just ask more, listen more, taste your food, find out what's going on in the world, be open. And that just makes me a better version of me. Yeah. And playfulness. I remember early days in my career, I had to be really serious because that's what you do, because that's what you must be when you've graduated university. And I was lecturing and death by PowerPoint and really serious. And eventually I realized, no, for me to be authentic, I have to have a bit of playfulness, a bit of lightness, and I can still teach important, serious things and help people navigate stuff.
Yep.
But I can bring a level of authenticity that has some, maybe it's a bit of humor, maybe it's a little bit of, playfulness to it. And I find if I make sure that I can put those three core ingredients together, then whether I'm on a holiday with my kids or whether I'm lecturing or whether I'm working with a client in a really serious environment like surgery or preparing for an Olympics or a major, that I think my clients get a better experience and learn more from my teaching.
Absolutely. What's one drill that the average golfer could add tomorrow to help with their mental capacity? So if they're going out, we're recording this on a Saturday morning, so it's prime time for a hack golfer to go out and play their club comp. But if just the average Joe can add one thing, I guess, that you could give them, what would it be?
Wow, on the spot. I would say your practice design, your warm-up and practice design.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll have to get a little bit skill acquisition here.
I'll rock up. I'll give you, you can use me as an example. I show up to Lonsdale Links to my course where I'm a member.
Yep.
And I'll roll up 10 minutes before my tee time. I'll hit 2 balls in the net and go to the tee and normally wipe the first. So there you go. What should I be doing?
Well, we might start with flossing your teeth, right? Let's start with some basics of actually warming up.
Yeah.
So I would encourage, a little longer moving through some of the basic movement patterns. But what I typically see would be you go and get 1 bucket of balls.
Yeah.
And you hit 5 wedges, 5 7 irons, 5, you work through the bag, in reverse order, and you've just done a classic warm-up. You've hit maybe 5 shots of 5 to 7 clubs, and then you go out and tee it up and play golf.
Yeah.
What you've done there is what's called the illusion of competence.
Story of my life. No.
If we actually got TrackMan and a video camera and recorded the first shot of each of those reps, they might have been a bit ugly.
Yeah.
But then the second one's a bit better. The third one should be definitely better. The fourth one, and all of a sudden your brain goes, "Oh, you're all right. I'm actually hitting it all right."
Yeah.
Then you go out and you play your first shot or your first hole. Not only do you hit maybe a couple of loose shots, not only do you hit a couple of loose shots, you actually say something like, "What the heck? I was hitting it so well on the range."
Yeah.
And I sit here and go, the Kruger-Dunning effect is the scientific term. You have just lied to yourself about how good you are, right? So what do you need to do? You need to do what's called more variable practice. So you'll still work through the bag and you still want maybe 5 shots per, of those clubs. Fine. So we're going to hit 30 balls or whatever. But hit one, even if it's a shank, don't care. Put the club down. Grab a different club, aim at a different target, hit it, put it down. And so you want to work through the bag in much more of a higher varied manner, especially when you guys are doing some grinding on the range. Yeah. The trap of the amateur golfer is the B player, C player, D player effect, because you think you're learning because you're hitting those second, third, fourth shots better, but you're doing an illusion of competence. If you're hitting the driver poorly, it's okay. You're going to hit 20 drivers today or 50 drivers. You need to work on your driver. It's a skill deficit. We're still going to get you better at it.
Yeah.
But hit a driver, at least have 3 targets.
Yeah.
Or hit driver, then hit an iron, and then flick a wedge, then hit that driver again. Space it out.
Okay.
It will feel uglier. It will feel messier. You won't have that lovely feeling of, geez, I'm striping it. But you will actually be a better golfer over a few months period.
Love it, mate. I'm going to do that this week at the Vic PGA.
Yeah, much more variability in how you warm up and much more variability in how you practice.
I'll get there.
Golf is a one-shot game.
Yeah.
I have to walk into a golf course having never played this shot for maybe a few hours and find it in my brain. But the way I've practiced is a neutral line, a perfect driving range, hitting blocked practice. Yep. You're not practicing for the real world.
Love it. Final message for our listeners out there, mate. The mental game is, I guess, 99. What do they say? Golf is 99% mental, 1% physical. The top of the game. But yeah, we'll go with that. What's a message you can just, I guess, give to people who are trying to, even though we do have some tour pros and some up and coming athletes who listen to this, what's something that you would encourage people to do if they're sort of in a bit of a rut or trying to get to the next goal that they have?
Well, firstly, you want to understand, do I have an issue of plateau or an issue of transfer?
Yeah.
So if I'm plateauing, it means I'm just not getting better. and I feel stuck or in a rut,
Mm.
I would say that's about your practice design. So do some work, use the internet, get a coach who's skilled in it, do something to maybe change the way you're training.
Yep.
If it's an issue of transfer, meaning I'm actually pretty good in practice or in training, but I really struggle in club champs, or I really struggle, when it matters, then that's more of an issue of psychology. And I'd say, what is distracting you? Remember, underperformance is a breakdown in focus. It's not the presence of tough emotions, thoughts, and feelings. So it might be more about your relationship to pressure. If you don't like feeling nervous, if you don't like feeling angry, if you don't like feeling frustrated, well, golf's going to be a pretty hard journey for you. So what you want to do is actually look at your fundamental relationship and say, hey, can I actually see nerves, pressure, doubt, worry, frustration as just normal in the price of entry, and not be so caught up in needing to fight that, rather just accept it, make room for it, and come back to the mechanics of what the shot in front of me requires.
Love it. I love it. What does success look like for you with a client? Like if you start working with, say, a young Q or young me, and 10 years time, I've got this dream of becoming, how old am I? I'm 35. I'm getting towards the Champions Tour.
There you go.
Like, what does success look like, I guess, if, for you?
Yeah, doing the things that matter with the people that matter in a values-based way.
Bang. Simple.
Yeah. If that's some outcomes, some career aspirations, some achieving certain things, great. That's doing some things that matter.
Yeah.
But make sure you're doing it with the people that matter. And ultimately, if you're going to spend your life pursuing something, doing a job, pursuing a career in sport, raising a family, whatever it is, make sure you wake up in the morning and bring your values to life.
Love it. Jonah Oliver, mate, it's been a pleasure to have a chat with you. I've been wanting to get you on for, I reckon, 2 years now since I first met you, and it's been a pleasure, and I know everyone who listens to this will absolutely love the chat, so thanks.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, mate.